What's going on, guys? This is Miasin and welcome to the OCG Metagame Breakdown number 0. My very first OCG video that is actually post-BANLIST because every other one that I kept making before was always before the BANLIST, and that's the reason why a lot of people were like, bro, why is this guy still playing Toad and Splight? It should be banned. It should be, but again, these videos were before. So now things are going to be slightly different, and this breakdown, of course, published by It's Your Boy Akira. Huge shoutouts to Akira and Road of the King, by the way. We'll cover 84 top-performing decks from 18 tournaments that were held in Japan during the span of what seems to be almost 2 weeks, playing under the new BANLIST. So before this video starts, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and now let's jump right into it. So the new cards that we get to play with are the, the Crystal Beast structure deck, as well as the new level 5 monster that looks like it should be either Crystal Beast support or Adventure support. And what is the pizza looking like? This is actually incredible. This is the very first OCG metagame breakdown where the first best deck is no longer Splight, but rather Tearlaments. Man, look at freaking this. This is nuts. Yo, the tides have changed tremendously off of literally one single ban. Just Toad banned, and Splight is no longer the best deck. Tearlaments with 46.4%. literally just confirms what I always believed about the deck. It's the kind of deck that it just has the potential to be way too good. It does so much with the Shizu cards as well. It's super consistent, and the TCG is going to be even better because we don't have Maxi. Splight is going to be worse because it doesn't have Maxi, so it doesn't... in other words, it can't surge the Maxi, so you can't special summon it off of the Gigantic Splight and then bounce it back into your hand with Swafrog. That was a play that the Splight players were doing, and Maxi was destroying Tearlaments, but things are going to be a little different. So if you really want to win your events, you don't play Splight, you play Tearlaments. If you want to top your events, you play Splight, you don't play Tearlaments. There's a big difference. It's kind of like the 2019 format. If you wanted like a very easy top, or I guess an easier top, you didn't really care about winning or anything. You kind of played Salamangreat. But if you really wanted to win the whole thing, you had to play a really spicy combo deck that probably involved Danger, Thunder, Crusadia, Guard Dragon, whatever shenanigans. This is looking like another form of Tier 0 format, but this time the other way around. So again, Tearlaments being way too good. Everybody and their mother are playing these Shizu cards. It's no longer like a 60-40 distribution. No, it's literally 100%. Look at this, man. Ishizu, not Ishizu, but it doesn't matter. 38 out of 39, goddamn, bro. And even other decks can play these Shizu cards. That's the funny part. But anyways, the second best deck, Splight, obviously. 15 of them are just a regular Splight, and then one of them was with the Brave token. Very interesting. In the TCG, we still have full power Brave token, so maybe this is going to be a little more popular. Maybe it could be the #1 build. I don't know yet. I really have no idea. The third best deck is a deck that I advocate for a lot. Again, if you don't know what Exorcister does, you will lose against it. If you have to read the Exorcister cards in your next YCS or something, and you had no idea what they did before, you have a guaranteed chance of losing because their effects are pretty insane and they summon extremely terrifying monsters that most likely shut down your whole turn. So that's all I can really say, but it's clearly a Tier 1 deck. In the TCG, it's also going to be a Tier 1 deck. It's very consistent. It gets to play Floodgates like Dimension Shifter, Macrocosmos, D-Fisher, Necro Valley, but not super well, and some other really cool cards. Then after that, we have Flunderies and Eldritch. I mean, the boring, obvious ones, the kind of control decks that, Flunderies is not control, it's a mid-range deck, but Eldritch is control. Yeah, these decks are never really gonna die, it's just that they're never gonna be, like, unfair, insane, except, of course, when Flunderies goes first, and when Eldritch draws, like, Skill Drain and Solemn Judgment, then you're screwed. Anyways, Magician, yes, Mr. Rune, very interesting. Ishizu Mr. Rune, alright. Another one of those decks that can actually play Ishizu, but there are still other decks like the Vernalizer Fairy deck, etc. So Lawnmowing Magistus, Tearlament Shadow, this should actually be here, so it should be 40. And then Hero Phantom Knight. Hero in the TCG is going to be way better, and people are not going to be main decking Nibiru at all, so if you want, you can make Dark Law with one single card and Phoenix Enforcer without Verte Anaconda. So it's the one deck that actually doesn't care about Verte getting banned. If anything, it's actually happy that Verte got banned because it still summons Phoenix Enforcer at the same rate, but the other decks, they no longer get to summon Phoenix Enforcer, so there's less competition. Everyone gets like a handicap in the race, whereas you start, you know, at the initial distance of 0 meters, and everyone else is like minus 100 meters. Anyways, Mathmech at Ignister in the TCG, this is going to be up here. It's not going to be down there. Mathmech is extremely scary. And if you know what you're doing, I would not be surprised whatsoever if you won a YCS with the deck, because the deck can search summon limit at the speed of light, but again, it loses to max C. So in the OCG, it's not the same. So that's the reason why I keep saying, even though some of those decks might be lower down in the pie chart, they're going to be way higher up in the TCG, and some decks are going to be even higher up, like Tier Elements, where Splight is going to be lower down. I still believe that Splight is going to be the #1 played deck. I just don't believe that it's going to be the #1 best deck. That's the only difference. Anyway, Spellbook Sky Striker, Splight Trap Brigade should also be in this category, so it should be 17. And then Thunder Dragon, which, even with triple Colossus, I don't even think the deck would be like that great in the OCG. Maybe in the TCG would be unfair, but not in the OCG. Anyways, Wacky, Alameo, went 7-1 and finished first in the... Wait, what? They're playing Vargas Cup? Oh, yo, shoutouts to Gabe. Let's freaking go. Which had 33 players, glorified locals. Tier Elements has become the deck to beat in the current metagame. I wonder freaking why, because you can always shut down your opponent's plays with freaking these Shizu cards. You can mill cards with Kelbeck and Agido. Again, recycling back cards from the graveyard to the deck, or rather shuffling back with the Mudora and Keldo, and shutting down the graveyard with the Gravekeeper's Trap, in case you have Exchange of the Spirit in the grave. Now, the really unique thing about these newer deck lists is that they are no longer... They no longer really have like a generic consensus on the ratios of the trap cards that they should be playing. So some of them are playing Meta Noise with nothing else, which is the Book of Moon, by the way, that foolishes from the deck to the grave. As some of them are playing Salik, which is the continuous trap that sends from the field to the graveyard to negate a face-up opponent's monster effect. Your opponent, the effect of a monster activated on the field. So it's not like a Solemn Strike-esque card, but rather an effect veiler. And then the counter trap is an Omni Negate, but this time you don't foolish from the deck to the grave, you don't send from the field to the grave, you rather send from the hand to the grave at resolution of you negating. And obviously you have to have the card in your hand in order to legally activate this card. So honestly, I'm not like a super big fan of this card, but it's searchable, it's an Omni Negate. You can play around Dark Ruler with this card. It's not too bad. But yeah, this deck list looks extremely streamlined. And one extremely interesting thing that I really want to mention that a lot of people might be like, why? That would be the fact that Tier Elements is one of the only decks in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That might be a combo deck, sure, but still better off playing as a 40 card deck. And the reason for that is because if you go second and you draw Huffiness and you're playing a 60 card deck, the odds of milling Tier Element monster are going to be significantly lower. So yes, you want to play 40, even though it might increase the odds of you drawing duplicates. It doesn't matter, because you really want to mill Tier Elements very consistently, because you're going second, you draw this. It's basically a guarantee that you win the game, not gonna lie. And this deck plays technically 12 hand traps, even though it really doesn't look like it. So Kelbeck is a hand trap, Huffiness is a potential hand trap that can do a lot, Ash is a hand trap, and this, ironically, might be a double hand trap, because even just sending one of these monsters can actually benefit you like absolutely crazy. So yeah, very terrifying card, Herald of Orange Light. It's not even surprising at this point how great this deck is. Oh my god. But yeah, 4 revealed spells, 2 Combat the Grave, 1 Foolish, 1 Instant Fusion. Not a lot of spell cards, so this is one of the only fusion-based strategies that really doesn't care about D-Bear for fusions. I mean, come on, it literally plays 5 fusion monsters in a 15-card extra deck, and it doesn't lose to anti-spell either. It really has built-in options to just about anything. The only floodgate that will always make you, lose would be Summon Limit. I don't really see how you can win through Summon Limit, but apart from that, yeah, I mean, D-Barrier you can still get to play. You can still make Baron, actually, which is kind of hilarious. Well, not really, but, I mean, yeah, you can, but you're gonna need, like, the nuts. And then DXC's monsters, you can do a lot, actually. Baguska is broken. Zeus, obviously. Splight Elf, revive back the Diviner of the Heralds, make your opponent lose a card. And then, yeah, IP Masquerena, Phoenix, Unicorn, etc. So, yeah, very resourceful extra deck as well. And the side deck is actually very crisp as well. I really like it. Triple Sanctum with 1 Scythe, 1 Pancratops, 1 Duster, double Lightning Storm, triple Dark Ruler, the 1 Zooking Alpha, and I have absolutely no freaking idea why this guy is randomly side-decking Regeki. I don't get it. If someone can explain to me what Regeki is supposed to be achieving in this deck, I would really appreciate it, because I genuinely don't know. Is it because of the fact that if they don't surge the counter trap, you can always blow up their whole board, and they don't really have like a floater and Omni Negate? I don't think so, because if they have like the Keldo Heart, Kaleido Heart access or Wind Down the Field, they don't die to Regeki, so yeah, I don't really get why this card is here. And it's not like you could say that it's broken against Splight because they have Omni Negates as well, but it is insane against Exorcister, that I will have to say. And yeah, for Splight, things are very much different now. People are no longer making the Toad, so now they're relying on Dragon Buster Destruction Sword in order to lock their opponent. And because of the fact that, you know, Toad had to send from the hand or field to the graveyard in order to negate, you actually lost to Shifter, Macrocosmos, etc. Whereas now you can actually afford to main deck D-Shifter because you really don't care about your graveyard, except for Ronan Toadin. That's the only exception, but the Splight monsters really couldn't care less. Not a single Splight card outside of Splight Smashers kind of interacts with your graveyard. So yeah, D-Shifter actually very terrifying in this deck. And maybe in the TCG, we actually could see some people main decking D-Shifter and trying to make a completely different end board because it could be very interesting. Yeah, still a lot of hand traps, triple Ash, triple Maxi, triple Imperm, triple Shifter. Double Solemn Judgment main deck looks a little weird, but I guess I can understand the purpose. And yeah, the Splight monsters, the lineup is still the same. Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax. Why is this card played? Because it redirects and forces the opponent to necessarily attack your Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax instead of the monster that is being equipped to with the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. And it's extremely easy to summon because you have your IP Masquerena and your Union Carrier that you couldn't link off the turn it was summoned anyways. So you just make that into an undestructible, untargetable, must-attack Crusadia Avermax. Really terrifying card. And the Codebreaker Virus Swordsman is a Link 2 monster with 2300 attack that can jump over Baguska. So your deck does lose very, very hard to Baguska, and that's the reason why just having a very powerful high attack Link 2 monster is a necessity. So Codebreaker Virus Swordsman will probably be extremely expensive next format, and I'm gonna make a full video on this card as well as Deck Devastation Virus. But another thing that I wanted to mention was that since people are making Baguska so much this format, they have now adapted to the fact that their opponents could technically be playing Nightmare Cerberus. So instead of summoning the Baguska in the main monster zone, they summon it in the extra monster zone just so they don't lose to it because Cerberus does have to destroy a monster in the main monster zone. And because of the fact that people know that and have adapted to it, nobody's really playing Cerberus anyways. But yeah, very interesting format. As you can see, a lot of trap cards. Regeki being played again, which I really don't understand. Triple D barrier still. I don't know, maybe Summon Limit should be played. I really don't know. I feel like Summon Limit is insane, man. It covers so much ground. Yeah, evenly, Solemn Warning, Solemn Judgment. All these cards are basically turn skippers against Splight. Not necessarily against Tearlaments, though. Yeah, your opponent will still probably be able to win through a Warning or a Judgment, but definitely not through Summon Limit. So that's I feel like I've said this like 75 billion times, and they're still not playing the card. Anyways, in conclusion, Tearlaments is by far the #1 best deck, not even to anyone's surprise. And yeah, even though Splight got a card getting banned in the last ban list, it's still the #2 best deck, which is actually very interesting. Now, Dimension Fisher used to be good against Tearlaments, but people have adapted to it by playing Phoenix and Evil Swarm Excite on Night in the extra deck, as you can clearly tell here. So Excite on Night has always been one of my favorite cards, man. If your opponent doesn't have Omni Negates and has a lot of like Floodgates, and you don't really, you can actually resolve that Excite on Night, you win the game. So yeah, it doesn't matter if you have a few cards that say you can't try to do something. If I can Xyz Summon, if I can use the effect of my monsters, you're a dead man. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say and talk about for this video. Let me know your thoughts about this OCG metagame breakdown in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.